I was born and raised on the west side of Cleveland, Ohio. My father was a hard-working, union card-carrying, liberal Democrat carpenter. Father was a committed atheist. Dad never went to church for a funeral or for a wedding. He would go graveside or he'd go to the hotel to celebrate at the reception, but because of his commitment and his conviction about the fact that we evolved, we were not allowed to go to church. One night, Dad didn't come home, and when they brought him home, he had been in a bar fight. His face was crushed in and his ribs were caved in, and sitting in bed through those broken teeth and swollen face, he called for me and in a John Wayne fashion gave me his life philosophy. No matter what you do, be number one. It doesn't matter if you have to cheat and lie and steal, but don't be number two. I decided I needed to be number one, and at 11 years old, 12 years, how do you be number one? Well, I wanted to join a street gang. By the time I was 14 years old, I had been arrested enough, involved in enough gang fights, had been shot once in the leg, and ended up stabbing a boy in a street fight, and was sent to upstate New York to spend my high school behind bars. My first day in reform school, I was stabbed in the neck, and my first week there, my roommate hung himself. After running away 18 times, I was finally sent back to Cleveland, Ohio for wounding a police officer during one of my runaways, and I was waiting to be sentenced to 2 to 4 years in Tico, which is a state prison. Somewhere in a boardroom, someone came up with an idea, so they put us in handcuffs and put us on buses and took us to Parris Island, South Carolina. It's the Marine Corps training depot. By the time we were 18, we were in the jungles of Vietnam. But I came back and got released onto the streets, and the only place to go when you are an anarchist, an angry, violent individual, is college campuses. So I bounced from college campus to college campus, and I bounced in and out of jail, 10 days here, 30 days here. I finally pickpocketed a doctor. Kansas City, used his credit cards cross-country, checked into a hotel at Lake Tahoe, got 4 months for fraudulent use of credit cards. I turned 21 in jail. When I was 14, my mother had said, "You're no good. You'll either be dead or you'll be in jail when you're 21." And I thought I reached my mom's expectations. Anyhow, I began to read the Tibetan Book of the Dead and other things, asked for solitary confinement, shaved my head, and started doing yoga. And I really sought to find an answer anywhere but the Bible. And so, hitchhiking cross country on the way to Miami with the desire to get out of America and go find some answers in a civilization that was a couple thousand years old, we got arrested again. So when the others would sleep at night, I would roll the tobacco out, tear a page out of a book, and roll up cigarettes. So I got my hands on a Gideon Bible. Now, to me, it was just another book. Didn't know what it was at all. So I was tearing out pages in Leviticus and rolling cigarettes, and in order not to have somebody take the book away from me, I started reading it. I was 21. It's the first time I ever held a Bible. I started reading the Gospel of John. But reading the Gospel of John over and over again, several times a day for several days. On December 18th, 1972, at 7 o'clock at night, I finally surrendered. Something shifted inside me. There was a moment where I felt all of the weight of my decisions and my actions, and the weight of the guilt and the shame and the sin was overwhelming. But in the moment that I felt it, there was a freedom from it. And I experienced a wholeness I'd never felt before. It's funny, if you live most of your life in jail to be forgiven when you don't deserve it, it has an effect. I haven't gotten over it. It was 39 years ago this December, and I am still overwhelmed that God loved me enough to forgive me. I know that someday I'm going to be in heaven, and I'm going to know the things I don't know right now. I'm going to know the Gideon who went to a hotel room and got that Bible that had aged out, and he took it to the jail cell and dropped it off. The fruit of that one Bible I can't imagine when it's all done and we get to heaven how many there'll be. But there'll be hundreds of us that have come to Christ as a result of that one Bible. And God's touching my soul. And I'm going to take them all and I'm going to find that Gideon. And I can't wait to look in his eyes, because I'd like to wash his feet and tell him how beautiful they are to me. That his ministry rescued me and gave me a supernatural life.